Hello viewers, I am Dr. Sanawar Soham from Department of Botany, Kalindi College, University of Delhi, and today I am starting with the new series on ecology and utilization of plants. So let's begin with the introduction to ecology in this lecture. Organisms, we all know, do not live in isolation. All organisms are linked to their surroundings. The survival of an organism thus depends upon its surroundings. These surroundings of an organism constitute its environment. Any change in the surrounding or environment affects the growth and survival of living organism to a significant extent. Nutrients and energy get distributed among various living components present in particular environment. So ecology is the study of relationship of organisms, that is plants, animals, microorganisms with their surrounding or environment. So ecological study deal with the relationships of organisms with each other and the environment. As we can see in this slide, that plants are dependent on sun or solar energy to make and utilize their food. Then other organisms basically depend upon these plants and animals. So directly, indirectly, they are related to each other and their environment for survival. So what is ecology? Hence, writer gave the concept of ecology. The term ecology is derived from two words, oikos, which means home, and logos, which means study. The term was coined in 1869 by a German biologist, Ernst Haeckel. It literally meant study of home. According to him, ecology is a branch of science which deals with the study of interrelationship between living organisms and their surroundings. Woodbury in 1954 defined ecology as a science that investigates organisms in relation to their environment. E.P. Odum in 1969 defined ecology as the study of structure and function of nature. So moving on to the history of ecology. So way back, Theophrastus was the first person to introduce a scientific or ecological approach to the world. In the 18th century, European naturalist French Georges Buffon introduced the concept of ecology by describing the relationship of animals to their environment in his book on natural history. Carolus Linnaeus laid the grounds of modern ecology around 250 years ago. He studied all kinds of organisms, plants, animals, etc., as well as the type of minerals and soils. Then Alexander Humboldt studied the relationship of vegetation and environment during his travels to various parts of the world. Herbert Spencer was considered as the founder of social ecology. He gave the concept of survival of the fittest. Most of the studies carried out in the 19th century focused on animal behavior. Now moving on to the subdivisions of ecology. So basically ecology is divided into two types, namely animal and plant ecology. The division which was done was based on the category of organisms studied, say plants and animals. But in modern system, ecology has been divided into two types, horticology and synecology. The division has been made on the basis of study of individual organism or a group of organism. So horticology is the study of individual species in relationship to their environment. I will insist upon the word individual. So horticology considers the study of individual species. It includes the study of geographical distribution, taxonomic position, morphological characters like reproduction, life cycle and behavior of species in it. Whereas synecology, on the other hand, is the study of population or community in relation to their environment. So it comprises of community study and ecosystem ecology. In this, the composition and behavior of communities and their relationship to the environment are studied. On the basis of the study of habitat, ecology is broadly classified into two types: aquatic ecology and terrestrial ecology. So what is aquatic ecology? This includes study of living organisms present in aquatic habitats such as freshwater, estuarine and marine habitats, whereas terrestrial ecology includes study of living organisms present in forests, grassland, cropland and desert habitats. Basically, it is the study of organisms which are living or dwelling land. Other subdivisions of ecology have also been made on the basis of the aspect of ecology studied. Now, this slide shows various branches of ecology based on the aspect which is studied in it. So, we can see there are so many branches such as population ecology, which deals with the study of populations, the trophic levels, the interrelationship of individual organisms belonging to a population, etc. There are community ecology, where different populations are studied all together and their trophic level is understood and its relation with the environment is also understood. Then there is pedology, which is the study of soil, etc., etc. I will be discussing each one of them in this lecture. So moving on to other subdivisions of ecology have been made on the basis of aspect of ecology studied, as I just told you. So starting with organism ecology, it is based on the relationship of living organisms, animals and plants to biotic and abiotic factors in their environment. So all relationship of living organisms are studied in organism ecology. Then what is behavioral ecology? It is the study of behavior of living organisms in relation to changing environmental conditions. So the adaptations, how they survive extreme conditions, how they adapt themselves, and allelopathy, all these are studied in behavioral ecology. Then population ecology, it is the study of structure and dynamics such as size, density, the dispersion, demographics of a population in relation to the environment. Variations in growth and regulation of a population are considered in population ecology. Now, community ecology deals with the structure and organization of biological community with respect to environmental interactions, because it considers more than one populations. So factors such as structure, biodiversity, distribution, abundance of species and interaction such as predation, herbivory, competition, parasitism, mutualism are studied in community ecology. All these help in understanding of interrelationship of individuals as well as various group of populations with each other and their environment. Now, ecosystem ecology, moving on, is the study of living organisms, that is plants, animals and microorganisms, along with the non-living component of their environment such as water, air and soil. So this aspect such as the nutrient and energy flows are also considered in ecosystem ecology. So till now, when I talked about population ecology, I talked about the community ecology, we were just talking about the relationship of organisms between each other, if they belong to one group, say population ecology, and if they were belonging to different groups in one environment, we were talking about the community ecology. But in ecosystem, the difference is that the study of living organisms is made along with the non-living component. So how the energy is flowing, how the nutrient establishment is happening, how the energy flow is happening from one organism to other, and the flow of water, air and soil and the impact on the organism is studied in ecosystem ecology. Now, what is taxonomic ecology? It is study of different taxonomic groups of living organisms in their environment. So we study the different taxonomic groups in relation to ecology. It includes microbial ecology, mammalian ecology, insect ecology, human ecology, etc. Now moving on to another aspect of study of ecology, it's physiological ecology, or also known as ecophysiology. It is the study of changes in the physiological procedures, functions such as nutrition, metabolism in living organism in response to the environmental factors. Now various adaptation in organisms under different ecological conditions are studied in physiological ecology. Paleoecology is production ecology, ecological energetics, system ecology, and habitat ecology are some other important branches of ecology which help in better understanding of environment and the organisms related to or dwelling in it. So now we will move on to the ecological hierarchy after we have very well discussed the history and various branches of ecology being studied. So what is ecological hierarchy? First of all, in an ecological system, various levels of biological organization or hierarchy are noted. These range from individual organisms to the biosphere. Various units are included in hierarchy that include organisms, populations, communities, ecosystems, and biome. So we should know by now that hierarchy is the system of grouping of organisms at different levels. So ecological hierarchy in this slide you can very well see has been shown, where you can see that there on the basic unit of ecological hierarchy is organism. Now various group of organisms, based on their similarity and belongingness, they are grouped into populations. So the next level after organisms you can see is population. Then the communities, if we talk of, the community is the next level of organization, and it is a broader level, it is a bigger level which includes all the groups of different populations or different species which are living at the same niche at the same time. Then all the communities together group into ecosystem, which is a higher level of organization, ecological organization. And the largest one of all is biosphere, which encompasses all other levels such as deep soil up through the atmosphere, from organisms till the non-living. So all the components are taken care in biosphere. So this is the level of ecological hierarchy, from organism being the basic unit to the biosphere, which encompasses all other levels. So the level of organization connected with ecological grouping is called ecological hierarchy. As I already told you that an individual or organism is the basic and distinct unit of ecological hierarchy. Individuals carry out all life processes and exchanges materials with the surroundings. And then we move on to the next level, a population, which is a group of individuals of same species living together in a common area at a particular time. The next level, as I told you, is a community, which is the assembly of populations of different organisms in a particular environment. And the next higher level is the ecosystem, which is the association of living and non-living components present in a particular environment of an area. Then the next higher level in ecological hierarchy is a biome. A biome is a group of terrestrial ecosystem present at the regional or subcontinental level. And the largest of all is the biosphere, which is the part of the earth where life is present. It comprises of atmosphere or air, the lithosphere and hydrosphere. So these three together comprise or form biosphere. So before moving further, we shall clear some of the basics of ecology. So we shall very well understand what an environment is. We all know that each living organism depends on its surrounding for survival and sustenance. Environment provides food, energy, water, oxygen, shelter and other necessities to all the living organisms. The total of all of the surroundings land, vegetation that influence the existence of living beings is referred to as environment. So, there are two components of environment, the living or the biotic one and the non-living or abiotic one. What is a biotic component? All the living components are referred to as biotic components. These include plants, animals and the microorganisms. And what are abiotic components? All living factors are called abiotic components. These include water, air, soil or land and physical factors such as light and temperature. So, second important concept, the basics of ecology, we shall understand biosphere. In brief, I had already discussed the part, zone or layer of earth where life exists is referred to as biosphere or also known as ecosphere. The global ecological system is composed of all living beings. An element of lithosphere, that is rock, the hydrosphere, the water part and the atmosphere, the air, it is a closed self-regulating system. It is regarded as the sum of all the ecosystems. Now, the concept of the term of biosphere was given by English geologist Edward Swiss and Russian physicist Vladimir Vransky. So, moving on to the first important component of ecosystem, biosphere, which is hydrosphere. Hydrosphere consists, or as we can say water, constitutes around 70% of the earth's surface, and it includes water reservoir resources such as oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, streams, ponds, glaciers, polar ice caps and the groundwater as well. About 97% water is present in the oceans and seas, 2% is in ice caps and the remaining 1% is found as fresh water. The second important component is lithosphere. It is the solid component or the hard surface, which we say crust of the earth. It consists of three layers, which is crust, mantle and core. The uppermost part consists of weathered rocks, minerals, organic matter and is known as soil. The mantle and core form the inner layer of lithosphere. Then moving on to the third component of biosphere, the atmosphere. It consists of a complex mixture of gases, water vapor and particulate matter. This layer sustains life on earth by such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, essential for photosynthesis and respiration in living organisms. So, we move on to the next important aspect for the basics of ecology, that is ecosystem. As I already told you, ecosystem is an ecological unit composed of living and non-living things. The living or biotic components interact with non-living or abiotic component of the environment and they then maintain the equilibrium in the environment. Arthur Tensley proposed the term ecosystem and defined it as the interaction of all living and non-living components of the environment. Now, what is there in the abiotic components? These include the non-living or physico-chemical factors. They support the biotic component. They restrict the growth, number and diversity of population of a species and hence they are called limiting factors. These components vary from one ecosystem to another. These factors are classified broadly, the abiotic factors, into three categories, namely the climatic factors, the edaphic factors and the physical factors. What are climatic factors? These include physical factors such as light, temperature, wind, humidity. So, all the factors which define the climate of a place are included in climatic factors. What are edaphic factors? These include soil, its structure and properties. So, parameters such as soil type, soil profile, organic matter present in it, the minerals, soil and soil organisms are included in the study of edaphic factors. Then the third one is the physical factors. So what are the physical factors? These include water, air and matter. So moving on to one of the important physical factor, which is matter. It includes inorganic components such as carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. All these elements circulate in different components of ecosystem via biogeochemical cycles. Then the organic components of an ecosystem are proteins, carbohydrates, lipids and amino acids, and these are synthesized by the biota, that is flora and fauna of an ecosystem. So matter has two components, the inorganic and the organic component. Now if we talk of the biotic components are the living components of the ecosystem. They include plants, animals and microorganisms. They act as autotrophs, heterotrophs and saprotrophs. Biotic components have a direct or indirect influence on other organisms present in an ecosystem. So if I talk of producers or autotrophs, they are autotrophic in nature, that is, they convert the energy produced from the sun into food. That is, they prepare their own food. They include photosynthetic organisms. They are called producers, transducers or converters. In terrestrial ecosystems, the producers are the green plants. In aquatic systems, the floating plants, which are referred to as phytoplanktons, and rooted plants known as macrophytes are the main producers. Freshwater and marine ecosystem consist of algae as the dominant producers. Now, the next ones are the consumers. They are heterotrophic organisms. They eat food produced by autotrophs. Herbivores, they take food directly from the producers, that is, they eat plant. Thus, they are primary consumers. The carnivores feed on the animals and they are referred to as secondary consumers. The tertiary or the quaternary consumers include organisms that feed on secondary carnivores. So the omnivores which mainly consist or they include humans that feed on both plants and animals. Then what are decomposers? They include microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi. They are also referred to as saprotrophs and reducers. Scavengers, detritivores and decomposers feed on dead decaying matter and produce organic constituents. In an ecosystem, various components interact with each other. Biotic components depend on abiotic component for their survival, and abiotic components such as soil get enriched by the organic matter added after decay and decomposition carried out by the microbes or saprotrophs. At functional level of an ecosystem, primary producers harvest energy from the sun through the process called photosynthesis. This energy transferred from plants to other organisms, that is consumers, include both herbivores and carnivores. Later on, energy gets transferred to fungi and bacteria via death and decay and decomposition process. So there is a continuous flow of nutrients and energy in an ecosystem. The organic constituents produced after decomposition can again be used by the producers. Now this slide shows the gist of what I just taught, that is components of ecosystem. You can see abiotic and biotic factors, and we can see they are further divided into climatic and edaphic, and the examples are given which I told you. Then biotic factors includes producers, consumers and decomposers. So now I will rest my lecture here and we will start with second aspect of ecology, and I will introduce you to the concept of population in my next lecture. Thank you.